Hi everyone, welcome back to video number 3 of our Africa series for Map of the Month. We started the Africa map already. We've done 2 videos so far. Let me show you what we've done. We highlighted the surrounding waters of the continent. You can see we did we highlighted all of the water, the Atlantic and the Red Sea, the Indian Ocean, Mediterranean Sea. I did spell Gibraltar wrong, so I'm going to change that to an AR at the end. Remember we talked about sometimes making spelling errors. It's very easy to do. So I double checked that. It's AR. Okay, and now we're going to kind of start tackling the countries of Africa. And the way I thought we could do it is approach it by natural features. I don't know how your teacher is necessarily planning to have you do the map. So I thought that one way to do it would be to look at some of the major natural features of the continent and then discuss the countries that occupy those areas. And we could start with rivers. That would be a good way to kind of start the map. Africa is famous for having possibly the longest river in the world. And the longest river in Africa is the Nile River. So let's look at that real quick. I've done a simple sketch of the Nile. It can get complicated in certain areas, but I sketched it in from Lake Victoria, which is right over here. Okay, you can see that little dotted lake. Okay, that's Lake Victoria. And I think I will take a second to label that. You can do the same thing too. Now remember, you can always stop the video at any point. Okay, and catch up. You can always start and restart the video. So I think I'll just add a little bit of blue to that lake. Now there's a lot of question about where the Nile, the source of the Nile is, and the actual source may even be further south of Lake Victoria, maybe starting in some of these countries, a couple of these countries right over here, but I kind of sketched it in from Lake Victoria, and you can see I'm just going to darken my line a little bit like this. You can kind of follow it with me right through the country of Uganda. Maybe we could label Uganda right now. If you look at this map, you can see I put little spaces for each letter of the country. I started out with a U, and then I put some additional spaces so you could finish the name of the country. And that country is called Uganda. Uganda. Okay, so that I'm drawing the river going through Uganda. And you can see it actually goes through the capital of South Sudan, the capital being Juba. And I'm going to kind of sketch it right through there. It goes right up through South Sudan, right up to that little section of the country right there that kind of sticks up right there. Why don't we label South Sudan while we're at it? South, and then Sudan, S-U-D-A-N. Sometimes it's fun to keep a running count of your countries that you label, and maybe I'll do that in between videos. I'll start a little list. So far we've done 2 countries, Uganda and South Sudan. Okay, let's continue that river flowing. This river flows from south to north, okay, and it's flowing up right through Khartoum. You can see the capital of Sudan, Khartoum. Let's label Sudan right now. It's a pretty large country. Sudan used to take up an even larger area until several years ago. It split into Sudan and South Sudan. So now it's actually two countries covering that area. Okay, I'm going to continue that river up. And you see it makes kind of a, sort of like a S shape almost. Kind of like a twisting, turning shape. And then it, right about at the border of at the northern border of Sudan, it forms a lake. I'm going to sketch that lake in. You can see it falls right about there. That's called Lake Nasser. I think I'll label it right now. Seeing it's right along the course of the Nile. Okay, and then the river will continue north through that famous country of Egypt. A lot of the pyramids and history of the Egypt you may have studied already, I don't know, but let's label Egypt. So already we've labeled 4 countries: Uganda, South Sudan, Sudan, and Egypt. And there's the capital of Egypt, Cairo. Sometimes I like to use a yellow or maybe even a red orange. I think I'll use a red orange, or here's a red. Maybe I'll use red for the little star of the country capital. There's Cairo, Khartoum, Juba, and the capital of Uganda is Kampala. That's kind of fun to do as you're going along too, and you can make note of the capital of each of these countries. Okay, and then north of Cairo, you can see the river. It kind of forms the Nile Delta, where it kind of branches. There's several branches that enter into the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, and that's what they call the delta, where it kind of spreads out. Yeah, there's one other thing I'd like to do. There's 2 major tributaries of the Nile, and one of them is called the Blue Nile, and it's such a large contributor of water to the Nile that I'm going to include it on the map as well. It starts in the country of Ethiopia. Let's label that country right now. Ethiopia. If you notice, all the countries are labeled around the border of the country, border of the map. So that might be helpful. But I'm also going to walk you through the countries as well, so you don't have to really do that. Later on, you might want to color in the countries along the border. Okay, so there's Ethiopia, and the country's capital is Addis Ababa. Addis Ababa. All right. So we're going to highlight that country. Now, I'd like to take my blue, and now that we've kind of sketched it in, I want to go over it with a blue. Make it really stand out. You don't have to make it too thick, just a nice tracing of that line that you drew. I think this is a great way to approach this map, because in the activities we suggested that you draw in 4 of the major rivers of Africa. And by doing that, you can see a lot of the countries that those rivers flow through. And I'm going to color in Lake Nasser as well. Oh, and then there's a little lake at the beginning of the Blue Nile called Lake Tana. L-A-K-E, Lake, and then Tana, T-A-N-A. Okay, I'm going to rewrite that. It's a little messy. Use your neatest lettering. Sometimes it's fun to have a mechanical pencil too. You can make things a little bit sharper. T-A-N-A, Lake Tana. So actually we labeled 3 lakes as well. Lake Victoria, Lake Tana, Lake Nasser. I think I'm going to put a label on this tributary right here called the Blue Nile. And along the major part of the river, we can just write Nile. And I want to use capital letters because it's such a big river. There's another section of, there's another river that is a tributary of the Nile called the White Nile. But it gets a little bit confusing, so I'm not going to draw that on. I'm just going to keep the main branch of the Nile right there. And then we've added that little Blue Nile there. They say there's some rivers that flow into Lake Victoria that also contribute to the Nile, but we're just going to keep it at that. All right, well, that's about a good place to stop right now, I think. We've done quite a bit on that map in a short amount of time. I think it took us about 10 or 12 minutes, but we not only showed the Nile River, but we've also labeled several countries. And we're going to keep doing that as we work our way through the map. All right. Well, thank you very much.